Senators Warren Hamilton and Jake Merrick are absolutely right. OCPAC and Oklahoma Constitution newspaper are wrong. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 53 of the Liberator podcast. We're here with the full crew today, Russell Hunter, Sam Riley, and we have an Oklahoma episode today because here in Oklahoma, we have two abolitionist senators, people who do not support incremental pro-life bills and who fight hard for the Abolition of Abortion in Oklahoma Act. And there was a newspaper article and a conservative scorecard that came out recently that graded them down for being abolitionists. And so we are going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about why the abolitionist senators are right and why the scorecard and newspaper are wrong. But before we get into all of that, we want to make sure that you guys are getting this content every time it comes out. And so please do go subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you use the podcasting apps, go subscribe to the Liberator podcast on whatever podcasting app you prefer. And please go like us on Facebook as well, because that's one of the main ways that we will be communicating with you guys. Yep. Also, become a donor to Free the States. Get your name in the in the bowl. Next week is the drawing for the artwork. Russell, we've got an updated version of the artwork that we're giving away this week.
Yeah.
Right?
So
last week we pitched one that was not.
Yeah. So we decided, I'd drawn this snake with his head lopped off for the Never Wound a Snake, Kill It t-shirt that we were doing, and we were just going to give away the snake, but instead we said, well, no, actually, let's give away something a little more substantial that people can hang on their wall. So Never Wound a Snake, Kill It, Harriet Tubman quote that's going on a new t-shirt that's available in the store right now is going to be the piece of art that we give away in next week's episode.
Signed piece of art.
Signed. I'm going to start signing the art against all my natural inclinations.
Yeah. So yeah, you can go to store.freethestates.org, pick up that T-shirt, pick up our new Abortion's Murder and Everyone Knows It quadfold, the pamphlet, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
At
now,
store.freethestates.org.
I do want to say on the back of this shirt, it does say abortion should be abolished, not regulated. So it's a very clear, strong shirt like usual. But the front, Never Wound a Snake, Kill It, Harriet Tubman, is going to be kind of a shirt that you wear around and people are like, man, that's dope. I like that. I love Harriet Tubman. And then you can sort of cool, and then turn around and show the back. So you can simulate your own little Tubman 20 project when you wear this shirt.
Yep, Conversation starter for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so for those of y'all who listen to the show and you're not from Oklahoma, do understand we are based in Oklahoma. We do a lot of work in Oklahoma, legislatively, culturally, and so on and so forth. We love Oklahoma, but everything that we're going to be talking about here in our state should be fodder for learning about things that are going on in your state. So don't tune out if you're not from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what really sort of makes us want to do this episode right now is a recent issue of the Oklahoma Constitution, which you can see here, wherein Senator Warren Hamilton, who's been the champion of the Bill of Abolition here in the state, is given a less than stellar conservative index rating, a lower rating than everybody else. And whenever I got this in the mail the other day and I looked at it, I said, man, we've got to talk about that because we love Warren Hamilton. We haven't probably talked about him in a good 10, 20 episodes. Mm-hmm. So we want to talk about that and why it is that a abolitionist in the legislature who's seeking to criminalize abortion is getting downgraded as a result of that.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that he was lower than everybody else. He still had a fairly good grade. He got an 80%, but he was graded down. He should have been much higher than that. He got graded down for being an abolitionist and saying, no, let's abolish abortion and not do all this compromise stuff. Yeah. And so that's what we're gonna talk a bit about. And the specific bill that Oklahoma Constitution newspaper and OCPAC were using to do their grading is a bill by the number of HB 1102. Now, this is a bill that would have suspended the medical licenses of doctors who perform abortions for at least 1 year.
Not will have, but is promising to do so.
Right.
Yep.
Now,
Yeah.
it's like you said, the effective date on this is November 1st. But on November 1st, it's not as if you can go to the abortion clinic in Norman or the 2 in OKC or the 2 in Tulsa and expect there to be no abortions going on.
Yeah.
There's going to be abortions on November 1st and November 2nd and November 3rd because all pro-life bills that submit to Roe can be expected to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah. At
Right.
this point, in the
It'll be-
standard way.
Yeah, court will hold it up or something like that. It's not going to go
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
If it is truly effective.
Yeah, but from now until then, pro-lifers will be celebrating this and talking about it. So a news story came up just the other day about how Kevin Stitt met to do a ceremonial signing of HB 1102, and the story said that this was going to drastically cut down the number of abortions happening in the state. So we're going to talk a little bit about what HB 1102 purports to do and how it plans to cut down abortions in the state. But we're just going to go on the record right here and right now. We do not think that HB 1102 is going to go into effect, and we have reasons for that, and that it's going. We therefore don't believe it's going to save lives. But I want to read the Oklahoma Conservative Index, the way they talk about this bill, just so we're letting it speak for itself. This legislation directs the Board of Medical Licensure and Supervision and the State Board of Osteopathic Examiners to revoke the licenses of physicians who perform an abortion for at least 1 year. The bill provides an exception for abortions performed to save the life of the mother. The bill passed the House 81-18 on March 9th and the Senate 37-10 on April 20th. It was approved by Governor Kevin Stitt on April 26th. And voting yes on this is considered conservative. The way that the Oklahoma Constitution and OCPAC rate their legislators is by choosing bills which they think represent what it means to be truly conservative. Mm-hmm. And so what they believe is truly conservative is revoking the licenses of physicians who perform abortions, providing exceptions for abortions to save the life of the mother. And they note that this was overwhelmingly supported, 81-18 and 37-10. Mm-hmm. Warren Hamilton and Jake Merrick voted no on the bill to take away medical licenses. And because of that, they got a mark against them as conservatives.
Yeah.
But no mention of the fact that they support criminalizing abortion as murder, treating abortion as murder, and not just sort of taking away a license or slapping a doctor on the wrist
Right.
in response to it.
And that's,
you would think as the litmus test for being a conservative, someone who's saying defy the federal government, defy the Supreme Court, and abolish abortion entirely, that would be the standard, you would think.
Yeah.
But instead they're saying this subservient bill that you have to, bows down to the Supreme Court, gives over the legitimacy to Roe v. Wade is the standard, which is just...
That's what defines a conservative.
Yeah.
A true conservative, in response to the abortion holocaust and laws protecting the right to murder children in the womb,
is a
takes
bootlicker.
away is a bootlicker. Takes away a medical license for a year, maybe possibly, and also make sure that people can get abortions for the life of the mother and the health.
Yeah, and it's very important. We've kind of gone around it, but just to speak very directly to why Warren Hamilton and Jake Merrick voted no on this bill. They voted no, one, because it's a fundamentally weak response, right? As you mentioned, right? There's a holocaust going on. We don't need to regulate who can have medical licenses. We need to give equal protection of the law to preborn children. Now, the other reason is that they recognize, Hamilton and Merrick, they see the games that are being played. They see the abolition bill gets voted down, and then this and 5 other pro-life bills get passed and held up as, this is the best pro-life session we've ever had in the state of Oklahoma's history, right? This is the most pro-life session we've ever accomplished. But it's another session, the 5th session in a row, where we have kept abortion legal. And they see that. They see the way that these bills are used to keep abortion legal and preserve the careers of cowards who don't want to stand up to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And they recognize that. They see the games that are being played, and they said, no, we're not going to be part of this. Abolish abortion. That is a righteous and brave thing that they have done, and they're being graded down for that.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
And it's a problem, and we'll get into the mechanics of how they pull that off. But I do want to say Warren Hamilton published a video the week that he voted against this to explain to his supporters,
a really good one,
and his people why it was that he did it. And I believe Jake Merrick did as well. And so maybe we can go back and find those, or you can go back and find those on their Facebook page. But we're going to be highly critical of this bill, HB 1102, and the usage of it to define what is conservative, what is good and just. But at the same time, I do want to make note of something sort of schizophrenic going on. The bill's author, Jim Olson, Republican from Roland, and in the Senate, Julie Daniels. Olson, in the midst of fighting for this bill, defending the bill in the media,
he
basically
said
stuff as though he were backing a bill to abolish abortion as murder. I just want to read this one here. This is back whenever it was passed. Olson told.
Yeah, this was actually a quote from 2020.
Yeah. So which one do you have? Because I have this one where
you may have a different one.
Yeah, this is a different one, and you read that one. Olson said that every single human life has value and should be protected under law. That's what we believe. Mm-hmm. We believe life has value, should be protected under law. Quote, as state representatives, we have a duty to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves and uphold the right to life. The life of an unborn baby should never be reduced to an inconvenience in our state or nation. And
amen.
That's awesome. And Olson is saying the right things. The problem is that the bill doesn't say every single human life has value and should be protected under law. The bill says physician licensure. Mm-hmm. It's not a bill that says abortion is murder. We should protect all babies from murder. You're not allowed to do it. It says abortion is going to be now slated under unprofessional conduct.
Yeah.
And then you're going to lose your medical license unless, like, the reason you provided the abortion is because the mother was possibly in danger physically or would take her own life if she wasn't allowed to kill her baby. Mm-hmm. So we like what Olson's saying, and we don't want to be offensive towards him. We just want him to understand that what he's saying actually matches the bills that we advocate.
Yep.
And Senate Bill 495. Sorry.
Yeah.
Senate Bill 495, previously Senate Bill 13, and the other abolition bills around the state, or around the nation, are the very things that we think Olson should be getting behind.
In a state like Oklahoma, because I remember sitting in and advocating for the heartbeat bills and just wishing, man, I wish they could argue well in this, but oh well. Like, they're not allowed to make good arguments. I think in Oklahoma, they have to make the good arguments, but they're still pushing the dumb bills. And they don't want to be quoted with some kind of dumb incrementalist quote. They want to be making the abolitionist quotes and not have anything to be, used against them, I think.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people think that this bill is the abolition bill, and there's a lot of confusion. And maybe the bill's authors and the people who voted on it are confused. But when this thing passes 81-18, and everyone thinks the reason that it passed, or the reason they voted yes for it, is because they're trying to protect every single human life under law, we know that the vote 81-18 would be the vote on the bill abolishing abortion, protecting every single human life, if that were the bill that they were voting on. So OCPAC, in choosing this bill to define what is conservative, instead of choosing the bill to abolish abortion, ends up basically creating and spreading a lot of confusion, which we hope this bill was written, it was passed, it was signed into law, and they're saying that come November 1st, abortion is gone in Oklahoma.
Or that's how a lot of the people who supported the bill are talking about it, as if it actually is going to do that.
Yeah. And we all know, like, this has been a repeated story. It's happened over and over and over again. It's not going to do anything. They know that.
Yeah.
They know that these kind of bills get killed, but they're acting like, oh, we're going to do something now. Like, this is going to be the thing that saves thousands of lives in Oklahoma.
And if November 1st comes around and every abortion clinic in the state is shut down and there's no abortions being done, we will eat crow on this. We'll be happy to.
Yeah, we will.
That would be awesome.
We will go. We will. We will make an episode and say, "Whoa,
we were wrong."
Did you know that worldly wise pragmatism actually does work when you do it? But
that's not going to happen.
It's not good. We don't believe that's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen.
We can say pretty conclusively, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So I actually want to reiterate a point that Sam made. In 2020, the bill celeb of the pro-lifers was Senator Bullard's bill, which was sort of had 6 or 7 things that had to be done before you had an abortion, and opened up abortionists to be liable to legal suits brought against them. And in the floor debate between Joseph Silk and David Bullard, Silk got Bullard on record saying, that this was the best thing that they could do to fight abortion. And in the press conference, Bullard said that his bill, what was it, Senate Bill what?
1728.
1728 was going to save thousands of lives.
Yeah, in the press release, he literally said that.
Yeah.
Thousands of lives.
And the abortion
Every
bills for the entire year since he said that have been just as busy, if not more busy, it seems. But this is the game they play. They pass a bill. They say it's going to do one thing. They get a lot of people all jazzed up and excited. And this is why you meet somebody every once in a while. Someone will come up to me. I'm wearing an anti-abortion shirt in Walmart. And they'll come up, that's really cool. And they'll say something crazy like, I'm so glad that we ended abortion in Oklahoma last year. And you're like, we didn't. But it's like people are reading these headlines.
Yeah.
And so on the record, November 1st, we do not believe what these people are saying is going to come true. Yeah. But as usual, like for the past 2 or 3 decades, it won't matter. They won't go, oh man, we need to change what we're doing. They'll say, we need to do it again. Let's write some other bill, say that it's going to end abortion, celebrate it, and then hope that people don't become wise.
That has been the pattern, at least. Now we're definitely working to change that. We want to meet with them and get them to not respond that way.
Yes.
Hopefully, this can be a wake up call. We can use the David Bullard thing about this is going to save thousands of lives and how that clearly was not true. And this was 1102 was billed as a bill that's going to save thousands of lives, and it's not going to come true. And enough of this we can take before them. We can say, look, these bills that all your colleagues are saying are these great, amazing bills that are going to save thousands of lives aren't doing anything.
Yeah.
Now, one, you're talking about how the bill probably isn't going to do anything. One more very interesting quote. This is the one that I was thinking of from 1102 author Jim Olson. A very, very interesting quote. And I didn't see this at the time it came out. This is back in 2020 when Olson was supporting the bill back then a year ago, the year before it passed. And I just found this in the prep for this episode just like half an hour ago. Olson, in debate on the floor, I'll read from the Tulsa World article here. Olson, in an exchange with Rep. Jay Stegall, noted that marijuana remains illegal under federal law, but allowed for medicinal use in Oklahoma. Olson said Oklahoma should assert the same principle regarding abortion to, in effect, ignore federal court decisions. One group, called Free the States, goes even further by demanding Oklahoma include abortion as murder and passing legislation saying it will not abide by court opinions to the contrary. Olson's bill does not go that far, but he and others are indicating that they are headed in that direction. Quote, "We are told the U.S. Supreme Court is the supreme law of the land, that we cannot protest its decision," Olson said in debate. There is a court even higher than the Supreme Court. There is a court of God, and abortion is a violation of the law of God. Yeah. Olson, that is incredible.
Yeah,
the way he's speaking,
what we say
is incredible.
It's and the thing is incredible about it is that's exactly what we say, what we've been going to the Capitol over and over and over again saying. It's on a lot of our material. So we see that we're either having that effect on them or that we have the same mind. But what's so crazy is that what he's arguing for is consistent with the kind of bill he's not filing.
Yeah.
Like we literally the abolition bill says there's a higher law than the unjust, unconstitutional rulings of the Supreme Court. Let's follow that law and disregard these rulings.
Yeah.
That's what the abolition bill does. And so it's very strange that he's arguing for the abolition bill, but hasn't been attaching his names. So, public request for prayer. Pray that Representative Olson will, in the coming session, file a bill that's consistent with the arguments and rhetoric and ideology that he appears to believe.
Yeah, because this is really good stuff, and we definitely want to meet with Jim Olson and say, hey, here's all the stuff that you're saying publicly in debates on the Senate floor. This is amazing stuff. Now here's a piece of legislation that's consistent with it. Let's get on board for this. And so I would love to talk to Jim Olson about that because it looks if this is what he believes, then we're on the same page. Yeah. So
Now, Jim Olson gets to be listed in the, going back to the Oklahoma Constitution and the Conservative Index here, as among the top 5 members of the House representing the conservative, party in Oklahoma. So Jim Olson's bill on abortion doctor medical licensure is the bill that's used to sort of like rank people. And getting back to Warren Hamilton, who also believes the same exact things that Olson is saying here, but rather than just, and I'm not trying to be unwarrantedly mean to Jim Olson, Warren Hamilton does believe that there's a higher law of God and that it protects all life.
Or his actions line up with that.
His actions line up with that. He doesn't just state them. Now, we don't know. I'm going to assume that if the Abolition of Abortion in Oklahoma Act went before the House, Olson would have voted for it and supported it. He didn't get that opportunity because it was brought up on the first week of the Health and Human Services Committee in the Senate and voted down. Interestingly, one of the members who is on the committee of the Health and Human Services Committee that voted against abolishing abortion as murder actually is Rob Standridge from Norman, and he has a higher conservative index rating than Warren Hamilton.
Yeah. And that's so he got 90 out of 100. Warren Hamilton got 80 out of 100. And the difference there, that 1/10 difference is the difference of this medical licensing bill.
Yeah.
So Warren Hamilton gets graded down for saying abolish abortion. No, don't do any of this, like regulate it as healthcare stuff.
Yeah.
And Rob Standridge gets graded up for saying no, don't abolish abortion, but do this regulate it as healthcare stuff.
Yeah.
Right. There's something really twisted about that being the reality of how this came out.
Yeah.
And so it should really, OCPAC guys, I know a few of them, I like them, but that should really cause some rethinking of the way that this is being done when that's the case.
Yeah.
When Warren's being graded down and Standridge is being graded up, given the different things that they support.
Yeah, to put it in a little bit of a harshest truth tone, OCPAC, like if you are someone who supports OCPAC, or you're someone who gets the Oklahoma Constitution and believes that these people are sort of the heroes for the conservative movement in Oklahoma, please note that if you vote, like in the state of Oklahoma, if you have the opportunity to vote to abolish abortion as murder and you vote against that, you can be considered among the top conservative legislators in the state. Like I don't want to like put them on blast because, as you say, some of the OCPAC guys are great, but this is one area where now for the last couple of years, they've been really messed up on. They've been rewarding compromise with abortion, treating abortion as healthcare, and now they're rewarding people. Like, I don't care how Standridge voted on everything else. He should be listed as not conservative, not Christian, not godly, not good, because he literally is on paper voting against abolishing abortion as murder. Like, there should be an asterisk by his name. Like, hey, when the bills came before the Senate for a full vote, Standridge voted really well. But in committee, he voted against abolishing abortion. He should not get points for voting, for other things.
This is something that should just fill you with indignation. Like when you're looking at Romans 1 and it says not only do they practice such things, but they give approval to those who practice them. OCPAC, you're giving approval to the people that are killing the bill that would save 5,000 babies every year and establish justice here in Oklahoma. That's sick.
Yeah.
Just stop doing that. That's disgusting. You would be involved in that.
Yeah, I've never written for them. I don't think we've ever published anything in there, but perhaps we should submit something to say, like, listen, you're saying Rob Standridge is in the top 10 conservative legislators, and he's actually on record voting against treating abortion as murder. So that is really unfortunate, and it basically calls into question, just being honest, it calls into question pretty much OCPAC and the leadership and everything that's going on there. We also know that OCPAC, in the midst of the Abolition Day, Abolition Now sort of events and the promotion of Senate Bill 495 actually sent out letters discouraging support of that. So it looks like at this moment, if you are wondering, is OCPAC a conservative group? Are they Christian? Do they support abolishing abortion as murder? Mm-hmm. Not so much.
Yeah.
So you're just putting them on notice.
They honor righteous bills with their lips, but their hearts are far from it. It's one of those things where they can spout all these good principles, but then their practice doesn't show it, and it's like, get consistent on that, because you don't want to be like that. You don't want to be this hypocritical organization that is, it's sick.
And I do want to say that, like, it could be just they're not thinking about it correctly, like they're not paying attention to it or thinking about it thoroughly.
Yeah, I think the hope for the future here is that their objection, they actually did support Warren's bill until apparently they didn't know this, so they hadn't gone through the bill, unfortunately, but they didn't know that it repealed pro-life bills because that's necessary if you're going to abolish abortion. And when they found that out, I think just a few days before the bill was voted on, and then they switched and opposed it and told people to vote against it. Now, we are making an amendment to the bill going forward to make it supersede instead of repeal. So we do actually expect that OCPAC will be back on board with supporting the bill once that change is made. And so we do look forward to that. But not just that, we would very, very strong, in the strongest possible terms, urge them stop using other bills as the measure of how someone is going to, or how we're going to treat them related to abortion. Use other bills for that. Abolition's got to be the standard.
And just to be really, really clear on that point about us making it so it doesn't repeal old pro-life bills, laws that are on the books. We do not think that was a major problem with the bill. Like, we're just doing this to take away the argument that they use, that other people use, that says this is going to get rid of all the pro-life legislation, some judge is going to tear it apart, blah, 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 blah. They use this argument all the time. We're just getting rid of that. That's all we're doing. We're not admitting the argument at all. Because it's a dumb argument, and it was a deceptive argument from the beginning, and maybe people like OCPAC just believed it because of the deception of others. But that was a deceptive argument, and it was not true.
I know you're kind of good cop and I'm kind of bad cop on this thing, but the leadership of OCPAC should not be fooled by that argument. That should not be something that holds water with them.
Agreed.
And it makes me concerned. I mean, I do not donate to OCPAC. I don't go to OCPAC stuff, and I don't consider them abolitionist or anything like that. I want them to be, but I'm just being honest. I don't think that they deserve respect because of the things that they're doing. And they could gain respect, but whenever it's very clear, whenever you can kill a bill of abolition and be considered a champion of conservative politics, either that organization is fake and they're not really conservative, or they don't think well. And so either of those things, and I think kind of both are at play here, where they're just not really putting it together. So that's why that's why we're agitating to this end, because we don't want them to remain this way.
Mm-hmm. And so moving forward, we really do hope and expect to be working with OCPAC and Oklahoma Constitution newspaper for future abolition bills that are supported by Hamilton and Merrick and hopefully others as well. And so we do hope and expect that, but we just have to call it out. When people who are demanding the immediate abolition of abortion, like Hamilton and Merrick, are being graded down, there's a major problem there, and we've got to call that out. And so we're calling that out in this episode, but we do hope and expect to be working alongside these guys in the future very soon.
Now, I do want to say that I don't think that this probably affects like Warren Hamilton. He probably looks at this and says, they gave me an 80. They don't really get it. They don't understand it. I'm going to be okay. But this kind of lobbying activity can have a very detrimental effect on the abolition of abortion. There can be people who say we approach them and we're saying, hey, let's do the right thing and let's criminalize abortion in the state of Oklahoma. And they think to themselves, but if I try to fight abortion as murder, OCPAC's going to give me a bad rating. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we're laying it on as strongly as we're laying it on. It's not, we don't hate you guys. We want to be on the same team here,
Yeah.
but please understand the effect of what you're doing.
And so as a concluding point, just to go back to a little bit of what we talked about at the beginning, these bills, 1102, all the others that were passed, they are substitutes for the abolition of abortion. They help people get higher ratings on scorecards when they're the very same people like Rob Standridge who voted to keep abortion legal in Oklahoma. That's what these bills are used for. And HB 1102 was not the only one. There was SBs 778 and 779 by Julie Daniels, which basically regulates the practice of medical abortion. Then there's Treat's incredibly cowardly trigger bill. Then there is that's SB 918. All right, so then we've got SB 584, and this was a really dumb bill. This was the Fetal Body Parts Trafficking Defunding Act. Now, it's really, really dumb. One, just the concept of defunding is not something we should be getting behind. It's a waste of time and energy and resources. Abolitionists should not be putting their time and resources behind it. But this is even uniquely dumb among defunding bills because it defunds organizations which have been found guilty in court of trafficking in body parts. Planned Parenthood has never been found guilty in court of trafficking body parts. Of course, they did. Like, they actually did do that. However, no court is going to find them guilty of that because the courts are in the tank for the abortion industry. Mm-hmm. And so the bill doesn't actually even defund a single dollar. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Right? Complete waste of time and space. It was suggested by Students for Life. And so the author of this one is actually a guy who's a co-author on Warren's bill, a guy named Nathan Dahm. Now, we really appreciate Nathan Dahm for legitimately sticking his neck out in some ways to support the abolition of abortion. Nathan Dahm supports the immediate abolition of abortion, and we love that, and we appreciate that, and we want to recognize that that is what Nathan Dahm supports. He supports a righteous bill. However, when you're getting behind and even being the primary author on do-nothing bills like this, it does set the cause back. And so,
Yeah,
Nathan, brother,
and it did happen on the
stop
same
doing
day.
this.
Like, people need to understand that Senate Bill 584 was suggested in committee and passed by a committee who on the very same day voted down the bill of abolition.
Right.
Yeah, and it seems like sometimes I think people might think, why do you guys give so much attention to Dom on this stuff when he's supporting your bills? And just to be clear, like, it is expected that Treat is a coward and wicked on this point. Like, he will go and he will kill our bills and he'll act like he's doing the righteous thing and he'll give these stupid justifications. And Treat is endlessly frustrating on that point. He's disgusting on that point. I really, like, we should be saying, like, very clearly, we're angry at Treat for that. But the weird thing about Dom is Dom knows the playbook on a lot of this stuff. He knows that, like, when he puts forward the abolition bill, when he signs onto the abolition bill, he knows that it's going to be contrasted with all of the pro-life bills that are getting passed to the Senate, and they're going to kill it, and they're going to use those pro-life bills to justify themselves. So it's like, I think you just know so much, Dom. We want you to, like, look at the obvious here and to like reject all the stuff that they're doing with these other bills, because you can very clearly fight for your bill, and it will be the abolition bill, and it will be seen as very well contrasted to all these other stuff. Or you can let these guys get a pass for it, and nothing will ever change, and the abolition bill will be delayed. And we want that to change. So,
and we say these things because someone needs to say them. I mean, like, this is one of the reasons we exist and other organizations exist. We need to make it where conservative political figures that are claiming to be Christian, claiming to be for the abolition of abortion or for fighting abortion, all that kind of stuff, are not rewarded when they do things like this, but are rewarded whenever they stand up. Right now, it's flipped around. People are doing things that treat abortion as healthcare, and they're being rewarded for it. Mm-hmm. Or they're passing. I mean, as James said, it's an incredibly dumb. I think that the people who wrote it know exactly what it is. It's just, it looks like you're doing something.
People who wrote it being Students for Life.
Yeah, Students for Life. But, like, politicians, grab bills from organizations and then pass them so that they're getting support from those organizations. And we just do not want to be guilty of sort of like giving credit where credit isn't due. Mm-hmm. And so with guys like Dom, we have no ill will towards Dom. We just think that if he would throw his support, if Olson, Daniels, even Treat, if they would throw their support behind just abolishing abortion, and all people would only support them for abolishing abortion, and they would stop being pleased by all these other things, which are either games or they're iniquitous, we would actually see ground gained. But lobbying organizations, we cannot let this sort of fake standard be a standard, and we can't celebrate them as heroes whenever they're not acting heroically.
Yeah, and I think the key is with all of this is like as soon as you stop caring about the applause of men or whoever's going to laud you for any kind of bill, and you just care about the one, you just care about God's approval on something, that's when someone's going to stop supporting everything else, and they're just going to support the abolition bill. Because it's not about what Free the States approves. It's not about what we criticize people for. It's about what does God want for legislation, and what has he clearly said. And regardless of what we say about it, go with that and stop supporting the things that he's against.
Yeah.
So then there is HB 2441. That was the heartbeat bill by Todd Russ. Again, heartbeat bill is a very popular thing, but like all pro-life bills, it's going to be struck down, and the Oklahoma state government is going to bow to that Supreme Court or that court decision, and the bill is not going to do anything.
Yeah,
like all heartbeat bills.
They go on record in the newspaper articles on these bills. They'll actually literally say, "Well, let's see what the Supreme Court." Like I think when Governor Stitt signed this, he said, "I promise to sign all pro-life legislation, and we'll just see if the court lets it stand." Well, they know that when he's signing it, the court's not going to let it stand, and they're not going to fight it. When we say, fight it.
And the heartbeat bill was really something that would get you labeled as sort of a radical anti-abortion legislator for a long time. And I think that's sort of changing now, but it doesn't do anything. Like, it doesn't make you radical to pass a bill that just dies. So it's
A heartbeat bill would still require the ignoring and defying Roe clause of the abolition bill
in order
to go into effect. And if you're going to do that, you might as well abolish abortion as murder, not just protect babies after they have a detectable heartbeat by someone who's has no interest in detecting it.
Yeah. And so last bill here is HB 1904, and that's basically you have to be an OBGYN to perform abortions. So again, talking about who and what licenses are needed to do abortions.
They pass a House bill saying if you perform an abortion, you lose your license. And they also pass a House bill saying you have to have a license to perform abortions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It also is, it's a little bit, you look at a lot of the medical training facilities that will treat, that will actually train OBGYNs in how to do abortions, and making that the standard for that profession, like being able to do abortions. And it's like that kind of incentivizes all that, like forcing OBGYNs to have to engage in abortions, and then making it a standard for abortion in a state with the idea of reducing abortions. You're making it that standard. If you get disgusted when OBGYNs are trained to do abortions and they're expected to be present for those things, then you should be disgusted by this bill, because that's actually incentivizing that entirely.
And protecting it. I mean, you regulate industries that you want to keep legal.
Yeah.
By keeping them safe, keeping them legit, above board. And Cynthia Rowe, the author of this bill, is not pro-abortion. Mm-hmm. She's not pro-abortion. But her bill says, if you're going to perform abortions, we want you to be good at it.
Yeah.
And have our approval. I mean, it's just what pro-lifers do, and that's probably already been passed before. A lot of these bills have already been passed in various forms. Mm-hmm. They just have to repass them in order to look like they're doing something. And especially in this year, when everyone was saying, we want you to abolish abortion, they said, well, we'll do all these other things. Can you appreciate us for that instead? And so we're here to say, no, we do not appreciate you for doing substitute, unrighteous, unjust actions against abortion.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, the standard should not be medical licensing or any sort of bill that regulates abortion or treats abortion as anything other than the killing of a human being, just as the killing of any one of us should be homicide. That is how abortion should be treated. That needs to be the standard.
Yeah.
Warren Hamilton and Jake Merrick uphold that standard, and they've been graded down for it. And that's wrong, and that's got to change. And we need more legislators like them to step up and actually uphold a righteous standard as legislators. Yeah. And so that's what we're looking for.
Those are the only guys that we give a high rating to.
Right.
Because they're on record saying abortion is not health care. Mm-hmm. We know they're on record not thinking abortion is health care because they voted against HB 1102. Mm-hmm. So we do the opposite from what OCPAC is doing there.
Yep. And so we appreciate those guys. Those guys need your support. Go like them on Facebook, all that good stuff. And thank you for watching this episode. Again, if you want to get your name in the bowl to win the snake next week, the Harriet Tubman, the snake that has been slaughtered by Harriet Tubman, become a donor to Free the States, freethestates.org/donate. You go to freethestates.org. There's a red button up in the top corner. Go become a monthly donor of at least $25 a month. Get your name in the bowl. Go to the store, pick up the Never Wound a Snake t-shirt.
Yep.
Do all that good stuff. Subscribe.
Maybe we don't know because we filmed this a week in advance. Maybe we're sold out. So
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
yeah.
Hopefully.
Sorry if we are.
Yep. So anyway, thank you for watching episode 53 of the Liberator podcast, where we are as harsh as truth and uncompromising as justice. We will see you next week.